In this video, we're going to texture this polygon shape using the UV 3D Cut and Sew tool. I'll first start by introducing just any UV map to begin with. So going up to UV, I'll go to planar, and I'll leave it set for a while, and I'll hit apply. I'm going to right click and go back to my object mode. And I'll bring up my UV editor. Going back to UV and to the 3D Cut and Sew tool, I'll identify the top of this shape. And by selecting an edge with the UV Cut and Sew tool, double clicking, it cuts it off from the UV map at the base of the shape. Now that the top's been separated, I'll start to cut it down the edge of this shape. I'll select the first edge up at the top, and double clicking, it'll cut down to the base. I'll now return to my object mode, and returning to my UV editor, I'll hit W on the keyboard, I'll right click, and I'm going to make sure I've got those shells selected. And then under Unfold, I'll click on Unfold. And now I see the two shapes. In my viewport, I'll scale them to fit inside the UV map area. Right clicking on my geometry in the viewport, I'll return to the object mode. I'll reselect it, and then I'll go to Image, UV Snapshot, set the UV settings I want, a PNG for Photoshop, and the size 2048 by 2048. I've got the edge black, and I'm going to save it, and I'll click on Apply and Close. Now I'll go into Photoshop and put my texture on. Open the PNG inside of Photoshop, and now I'm going to copy and paste my texture into it. I'll turn off my UV map and I'll save the file. And now I'll return into Maya and apply the texture to the geometry. In Maya, I'll right click on my geometry and choose Material Attribute. And I'll click on the color box, choose File from the Create Render node, and I'll locate my texture. I'll select my geometry and hit 6 on the keyboard. And there's my texture.